Are you on there, Lionel? Hi, Kate.
Hi there.
How are you?
I am good. How about you?
I feel like my face is a little bit hidden. Is it? Should I move over?
A little bit. Getting very
Yeah,
cornered.
I'm gonna move over. Yeah. This is heavy. Okay.
Yes.
Well, now the computer's in the way.
MaryAnn, I can see that.
Hi, Lionel.
Hi.
There. Is that
I'll
better?
let-
Perfect.
Thank you. What did you say, Lionel?
I will, as people pop on, just so it does, because it flips you back and forth, I'll go ahead and, allow
Let him in.
Yeah. I'll go ahead
Thank you.
Yep.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. Look what I got. Oh.
These are just if anybody has any or wants
nice.
one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ooh, do you have one of these, Michael?
I do, yeah.
Welcome, Allison. It looks like it's 9 o'clock. Maybe we'll just wait one more minute. Sometimes it takes a minute to get on Zoom. Got a couple more people coming on. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Mary.
Marty. I just realized the speaker's behind me. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you for coming to Ignite Session 2, Embrace Your Job. And it's so interesting because I feel like being a real estate agent is so much more than a job. You know, when you put contribution first and you want to help others, it can really be a vocation. So pretty awesome. Okay, this did work. Sarah, I did something, now I can't click, I'm sorry. I did this one. Oh, that worked before. There we go.
I think you just have to click on it like with the mouse pad.
Oh, okay.
And it stops doing it and then, yeah.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning,
How you
how are
doing?
you?
Good, Joe.
Good, thank you. So I'd like to start by having you guys introduce yourselves. So I'm MaryAnn Honeyman, and I've been licensed since 2017, and really honored to be here with you guys today. Michael, will you start and just say your name and how long you've been licensed and what you'd like to get out of today's class?
So I'm Michael Kuklo. I've been licensed in the state of Oregon since February, and I'm just looking to learn something new.
That's great. So Michael's been licensed in Oregon since February, but you've been a licensed agent for quite a bit longer than that, right?
I'm licensed in Arizona. So,
Licensed in Arizona for 12 years. Great, thank you.
Morning, my name is Billy Scott. I'm on the Oregon Farm and Home Brokers team, and I got my license at the end of January.
Awesome.
Yeah, just wrapped up my career at Knife River after 18 years.
Wow.
So kind of been doing dual roles there. So I've been an agent for the last few months full time.
That is so great. So nice to meet you. Welcome, Billy. How about you, Kate?
Hello. I have been licensed for about a year and a half, and after a brief stint away from KW, been with KW since 2015, just looking to kind of reignite.
Awesome. We're so glad to have you back. Okay, Stacy.
Hey, Stacy Robinson. I have been licensed for 6 years, I believe. What is that all we're supposed to say? Sorry, I wasn't paying
Yeah,
attention.
and what you're hoping to get out of today's class.
Oh, just I love refreshers, and I feel like you always learn something from the basics or relearn something or just get better at it.
Absolutely, I agree. And how about you, Barbie? She might have stepped away.
Sorry, I'm
Oh,
here. I've
that's-
got little going crazy. That's why I'm on mute. So I actually just got my license. I passed less than 30 days ago. So brand new to it. I had my license in California when I was like 18, but that was like 15 years ago. And then I just kind of let it go when I moved because it was like a whole new network. And apparently at 18, that was too intimidating. Yeah, dumb. And I've told myself since I moved to Oregon that I was going to get my license once all my kids would be in school, and my daughter will be in kindergarten this year. So I feel like I might have opportunity during the day to focus on things instead of having 3 kids at home. So yeah, and then I joined Kaylin Martinez, who's like one of my very best friends.
Nice.
And yeah, there's a lot of story to it. My ex-husband used to work or was with you guys for a very short time. And I was actually to get my license when he got his, but he wanted to get his, and so I stepped back. And so yeah, I'm excited to completely transform into a new career.
That is really exciting, Barbie. This is your time.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you say just a few days ago?
I just passed, like my license literally hung yesterday.
Congratulations. That is so exciting.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
of
Allison?
course.
Allison might have stepped away for a moment, so we'll go ahead and get started. Oh, there you are, Allison.
I'm licensed for 2 years. And I just always learn is yeah.
Can you guys hear her on Zoom?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We couldn't. It sounded just a little robotic here, so I'm so sorry I couldn't hear you,
Just cutting in
Allison.
and out a little bit.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. I'm glad you're here. Hi, Melinda.
Hi.
Hi, so we're just sharing our name and how long we've been licensed and what you're hoping to get out of the class today.
Do you want me to share that?
Yes, please.
Melinda Coits, 4 years. Ignite my excitement, I guess.
That's awesome. It's always good to stay plugged in. Education is really, really key. Did I miss anybody? Nope. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. So today we're going to apply the 6 core competencies of a business. And I know you might have to do this because it's not working. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. And the 6 core competencies of a business are lead generate. How often we hear that? Lead generate, lead generate, lead generate. Capture and convert to appointments. And then present to buyers and sellers and get agreements signed. And then we show buyers and we market sellers. And number 4, we write and negotiate contracts, one of my favorite parts. And number 5, we coordinate the sale to closing. And number 6, we manage the money. And I'll tell you that one of the most important things that we can do with these 6 core competencies is manage expectations too. And we'll talk more about that one also. Lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. So I recently went to a training in Traverse City, and it was just so interesting. I've heard this before. I've heard, we all heard so many things before, and sometimes I think it's just the right time for you. And this just really struck me when the speaker said, you don't have to like every part of the job, your job. Like, who actually likes every single part of their job? There's people who are super passionate about being teachers, doctors, lawyers, real estate agents, and they don't love every single part of their job, right? So most people don't love lead generating. Some people do, and I'm hoping that's contagious someday. But that is an integral part of our job. Without lead generating, then we can't do our job. So I just found it really interesting that, looking at that is the number one, to make sure that we're lead generating every day so that we do have business. It just made perfect sense to me that I love almost every aspect of my job, and lead generating is the one that I do that I don't enjoy as much, or I didn't. And it's been about 3 weeks, and I changed my mindset that this is the foundation of my job, and if I don't do this, then I'm not going to get to do my job. And it's just been a huge shift for me, and it's coming a lot easier too. And I'll tell you, another thing that makes lead generating easier is practicing our skills. So when we have our scripts down and we know how to do all of the components of our job and we're really good at it, then it's a lot easier to lead generate because we know when we get that appointment that we're going to know what to say. So script practicing and sharpening your tools is a really important part of that lead generating, so that you know what to say, and then when you do make that appointment, that you make the most out of that appointment too. So if we change our mindset about lead generating and just know that it's kind of like our car, like the vehicle to get us to be able to do this amazing job that we have. And then the second core competency is presenting to buyers and sellers and getting agreements signed. So this part is very, very important too. Having these meetings with buyers and sellers, we want to make sure that we have our presentation down, we have our objection handlers ready, and that we're practicing every single day. The really successful real estate agents practice their craft. Like, we want to stay good at it. And in this ever-shifting market, different objections are coming up all of the time. And so it's really good to practice with our peers and get really, really good at our presentations, and then also at the closing. And when we're presenting to buyers and sellers, it's always really good to assume the close, to talk as if we are their agent, because that's what we expect to happen. And I don't like coming across as a salesperson at all. When we come with contribution and value, then we don't come across as just being salesy and wanting something from the person. But I'll tell you that there are some really great sales skills that once you learn them and practice them, it makes presenting and closing the sale so much easier. So if you've never had an opportunity to listen to The Language of Sales or to read that book, that's a really good one, because what we say and how we say it can really help with presenting and getting people to sign agreements. And just keeping in mind too, that there's a lot of real estate agents that don't take good care of their clients. And so just knowing that you are the best person for this client to go with, and knowing that you want to help and protect and give value is really helpful going into the appointment. And then number 3 is to show buyers homes and to market sellers. And number 4 is to write and negotiate contracts. That's one of my favorite parts. And then number 5 is getting that transaction through escrow. So sometimes that is the hardest part. So coordinating the sale to closing. And this is where setting expectations is really important too. And then number 6 is managing the money, a very important piece of it. And in all things, mindset matters. So when I said lead gen was number 1, I think I made a little error. So actually, mindset is number 1. What we think about, what we talk about, what we dream about, what we plan for, everything that is happening in our minds truly determines our success in life, because we all know that we are what we think about. And so it's really important to keep that mindset really, really strong. And Gary Keller says in the Shift book that to achieve your highest potential, these 6 core competencies must be done consistently and done well. So we all know that. Any ahas yet? We haven't had a chance to talk more, but it's that much, but it's asking for ahas. Okay, moving on. And then number 2 is to recognize your role as a fiduciary for your clients. And then we're going to talk about the difference between a functionary and a fiduciary. So we have an activity, be the fiduciary. I think this must be that I must just be talking about this, because this goes on to the next one. Manage the money. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Yes. Okay. So does anybody know the difference between being a functionary and being a fiduciary? Michael?
So functionary, basically you go through the motions, you fulfill your contractual obligations, but you are truly not being the trusted advisor that cares about the people they're working with by actually doing your job.
Oh my goodness, I wish that was written on the board. That was so good. Was everybody able to hear Michael? I hope so. That was great, Michael. Thank you. So
Yes, that was great. I heard him. Thank you.
Oh, good. That was so good. So being the functionary, it's kind of self-explanatory, going through the functions, going through the motions, doing the steps, doing kind of the bare minimum of what needs to be done, maybe just directing the sale, And then being a fiduciary is truly looking out for your client's best interest and helping to make the process really smooth and helping them to understand everything and to guide and to advise them. And so there's an analogy that people use. So if you use a car mechanic, you know, typically most of the time when you take your car into the garage, they don't necessarily know your name or will remember your name, and they do know that needs to be done, and you pay and you leave. And then they probably don't contact you after that. And so with the fiduciary though, it would be like having a mechanic who you know, keeps in touch with you and you hear from several times a year and checks in on you. And then when you come into the garage, they know your name and they know your car and they're excited to see you and they can give you some good advice. And you don't feel like they're just trying to sell you extra parts to make more money, that they truly care and they're looking out for your best interest. So that's the difference. Does anybody have anything else to add to that? And then number 6, manage the money. So managing the money is really important. You know, going through escrow, the most important thing that we can do in helping manage the money through the transaction is for our buyers and our sellers to really set clear expectations as to what will most likely happen and then also what could happen. And then I've just learned and been trained, it's so important to be proactive with our clients and with communication, because being reactive is a terrible way to do business. And, you know, sometimes we slip into that, we can't help it, but being as proactive as we possibly can, kind of looking forward to what is going to happen next or what could happen next, and always keeping our clients informed of next steps and what to expect is so important. It makes a huge difference in how they feel about the transaction and how they feel about you and even how they feel about our industry. So keeping the clients, keeping our clients informed and getting ahead of what their questions might be is so important, because just for example, when a client calls us because they don't know what's happening or they don't know what to expect next, that could be 30 minutes, an hour phone call. When we call our clients and send email updates about what's next, that's like a 5-minute, really nice conversation. So, you know, buying and selling real estate, it can be very stressful for people, the most stressful time in their lives. And we don't always get to see the best side of people. And so when people start to become either a little nervous, stressed, frustrated, or fearful, then, you know, conversations are very different. So when we can stay ahead of what their fears might be, what their worries might be, and what their questions might be, then that goes for a much smoother transaction for you and for them. We're going to review the success system. And in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Gary Keller says, nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have. And that is absolutely true. And accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. So taking responsibility for our business, you know, we belong to a market center and some of us belong to a team, but we are independent contractors and we own our own business. And, you know, thinking and acting and making decisions as a business owner is really important, and being accountable for every part of that. Anybody have any ahas? You're all nice and quiet this morning. Oh, and then the other part of accountability is having somebody to help you to stay accountable to our phone calls and our follow-ups or any other goals that we may have outside of lead generation. So choosing an accountability partner is really important. You probably don't want to choose your best friend because they might go a little easy on you. But I don't know, one of my best friends is probably the hardest on me, which means that she truly cares. So you want to provide a safe place to share with each other. And then you always want to follow through with your action items. So taking accountability upon yourself and then knowing that you're ready to talk with your accountability partner and report back on what you did. You also want to listen and pay attention while the other person shares, and set a frequency, like a time frame of checking in with each other. Is that going to be once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week? And then with your accountability partner, you want to dig deep to find out why you do the things that you do. It's just kind of nice to have somebody to bounce those things off to. And then you really want to respect each other and the process. So respect each other's time, and also respect your commitments that you're making. So create a commitment and stick to it. And then be open to receiving feedback. This can be hard sometimes to give feedback. So that's one of the things that give specific feedback. That's really important when you have an accountability partner, or even if somebody just asks you. You know, sometimes it's hard. I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but also, you know, there's this saying, you don't want to love somebody out of the business either. So being truthful and, you know, helping them to improve is, you know, that's what they want. So when people ask for feedback, it's also nice. They talk about the feedback sandwich. And so giving somebody something positive, and then maybe a little something they could work on, and then something positive again, makes that a nice feedback sandwich too. And then also to have each other's best interest in mind. That's a really important piece of it. So did you choose accountability partners in the last session? No, I didn't do that. Okay. I think that happens more when there's a lot of people in person. This system, the success system tracker is really great. So we have so many options for different tracking, for different, you know, how to track your contacts, how to track your calls, and how to track your appointments. And this one is really great. You set a commitment to have 10 conversations a day. So that could be on the phone, or a conversation. The definition of that is just where it's a two-way conversation. So if you text somebody, you get an answer back. That's a conversation. You leave a voicemail and they call you back and you talk to them. That's a conversation. So this tracker asks how many conversations, and then adding contacts to your database is really great. So if you want to use this tracker, you can keep track of how many conversations that you have out of 10 and how many contacts that you've added to your database. And then handwritten notes are really great, especially in this day and age. We hardly ever see that in our mail anymore. So I feel like that makes a great impact. And then the 10-5-1 social media engagement. That's where you like or acknowledge, you know, you can use all those different emojis now, 10 posts. And you can comment on 5 and then post at least one of your own a day. And I've had a lot of social media training, and Facebook is my main way of lead generating, and that's where I get most of my business. So if any of you ever want to talk about Facebook and, you know, how to utilize it and the do's and don'ts, and I honestly could even do a lot better than I do. But I've been to a lot of classes and actually this great 3-day training in Arizona a few years ago. And so if you ever want to talk about social media, or especially Facebook, that's the one that I know the best, that I'd be happy to talk with you guys about that. And it's really an incredible way to stay in contact with your people. I almost always add my clients once we close to Facebook. There's a couple that I didn't. Sometimes we have reasons for not doing that, but it's been so great. So, you know, when I sold a house almost 6 years ago, those folks, you know, we can do our best at calling them every quarter, checking in with them, having a piece of value, sending a newsletter, having client events, but actually getting to see, you know, their day-to-day, people who post on Facebook. It's a great way to stay in touch. And so, you know, now those people feel like we're friends and that we really know each other. And it's just been a huge part of my success in real estate. And I'm super grateful. About 2 months ago, somebody actually hacked my Facebook, and not just clone. They didn't just make a copy, but they took over my Facebook, and it was really, really tough on me because like I said, that's the main source of my business. And then also personally keeping in touch with family all around and everything. But I just find just taking a few minutes here and there throughout the day can really make a huge impact on your relationships with people. If that's something that you're interested in increasing or starting, like I would love to help you. So just reach out. Anybody else have anything about social media? Do you use it very much, Michael?
Personally, no, I don't. That's just a personal thing.
Yeah, and I totally understand that because in 2009, I was dead set against getting on Facebook. I said, no way, I'll never do that. My girls were teenagers and MySpace had been a bit of a nightmare. And my close friend that we plan all of our class reunions together, he insisted that I start a Facebook page so we could plan our class reunion together. And even though I said no, he drove over to my house and got on my computer and made me a Facebook. So he said, we'll just delete it afterwards, right? So 4 months later, after the reunion, he asked me, do you want to delete Facebook? And I said, no way. So it's kind of like money, social media is, does good for the, it's good for the good that it can create. Some people I feel misuse social media, and sometimes they use it to harm people or hack people and things like that. But one of the tools that I love on Facebook also is the unfollow button. So when I wake up in the morning and I look at my Facebook, it is a happy, peaceful, positive place because, there are people in my life that I wouldn't want to unfriend and upset them, but they don't know that I don't follow them. So, I don't really want to hear all the bad news all the time or people complaining and things like that. And I can always go to their page and catch up with them, but it's had a lot of positive impact on my life, but I also respect the fact that some people want privacy and also maybe just don't want to be involved with it. But if you are somebody who does want to do more with Facebook, I'd be glad to help you. So
Yeah, it's not that I'm against Facebook. I mean, I have a Facebook page, and if you use it, it's not my preferred method of teaching.
it's not your preferred way of communicating.
Exactly.
That makes total sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Facebook is mine.
I might want to have a conversation.
I'm sorry, 1 second. Would you say, Billy?
I said, I think Facebook's my go-to. I mean,
Is it?
when I signed up on the team, they set me up for like TikTok and Instagram, but really, I know how to use 1% of it.
I was going to say, oh, maybe you could teach me TikTok, but no.
It's because our marketing gal's doing it.
That's so great. And
So
so
it's
you
free.
just started on Facebook when you joined the team?
No,
Oh.
Facebook's been my go-to.
Oh, okay.
But it's like a balance of your personal life on Facebook and your real estate life on Facebook. Do you separate it, or because personally your personal sphere is how you get these?
Right.
It leads to a lot of good conversation.
Definitely. And I was really glad that the advice that I had gotten from that training, I think the first one I went to was like 6 years ago, or no, 7 or 8 years ago. Time flies. And they said that it's best not to separate, like have a business page, but it's also best not to bombard your personal Facebook with salesy or a lot of hardcore real estate posts, but what they call lifestyle posts are really effective. So like maybe some really pretty scenery and say, Saturdays are a great day for showings, or enjoying this sunny day with my showings today, or something like that. I brought Dutch Brothers to some folks when I was going to go over a rough inspection report with them. And I just set it on the hood of my car and took a picture in front of this really pretty cherry blossom tree. And I was like, this inspection report needs a little Dutch Brothers or something like that. And it got so many likes and comments. And so when you can kind of mix it in with your lifestyle and what you're doing, people are interested in that. And they say to only do like at least 50% just totally personal. And then the other 50% the lifestyle ones. And every once in a while you can sprinkle in a coming soon or live on the market or something that's like an actual, post that our marketing does.
Well, that lines up because we had a gal that did a real estate Facebook page and her personal.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like the real estate page never
really took off.
It was kind of like you're in the friends because you know personally, if the business comes with it, that's bonus.
Absolutely. It's such a great way to stay top of mind. And that's our goal, right? To stay top of mind. So that's awesome, Lily. Thank you for sharing. And I missed somebody was talking and I didn't get to hear what you said.
It was, this is Barbara. I was just saying, so I've done network marketing the past 10 years. I don't know if anyone knows what network marketing is, but I've been top 2% in network marketing for the past 8 years. And then my company shut down. So that was really fun. I had a multi-six-figure income that got shut down. So don't put your eggs in one basket. Lesson number one. Lesson number two. So I've used social media. My problem is I think my social media is very spread out. I have people all over the United States, Canada, because that's where I built my business. So I guess I just need to, maybe retailer. I'm not super, I don't have a lot of Oregon people on my friends list. That makes sense. So I think I'm struggling, but social media has been my bread and butter for 10 years now. And that's how I've been able to it. So I'm excited.
Barbie, I'm so sorry I can't see.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it is.
Is this Barbie talking?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I really plan to utilize social media and I think it will be my bread and butter. I just need to learn to adjust to a local community, maybe get in some local groups or something like that.
Definitely. And adding mutual friends slowly and cultivating those friendships.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really good. And also remember in the United States, we can get referrals, right?
Right. Social media is one of the biggest free resources out there.
I would say, this is Melinda. Hi, Barbie. I would say that keep your far away friends too, though, because most of my family lives way out of state, and keeping them in touch with the fact like that I'm out on a showing is actually good, because sometimes, they call me and say, hey, I need a good agent in St. Louis or something like that. And so don't burn those bridges in Canada or whatever, because you might have an opportunity for referrals.
Absolutely. I plan on, because recruiting is like network marketing. That's the thing. I plan on building recruiting to AW quite a bit. Recruiting is my strong suit. So there's that.
That's great. I would love to talk to you more about that, Barbie, too.
I'd love to have a conversation.
That sounds awesome. Does anybody else have anything to share or ask about social media?
Just that I'm trying to use Instagram more, and I don't understand it very well.
Yeah.
I don't understand the buttons in Instagram or what to do, or I accidentally create a reel every now and then or so that's my problem. I've used Facebook for so many years that I don't really know what I'm doing. Even if I have taken a couple classes.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And it's so interesting. It's just learning something new, because I'm with you, Melinda. I feel like Facebook is so easy, and I'm trying to get more into Instagram because my kids and my younger teammates are telling me Instagram's the place to be, get on there. And it feels a little confusing to me too. And then I forget about it. So
Instagram, yeah, but I can tell you, I've done all mine on Facebook as well for the past 10 years. And that's kind of the thing that I think if you convert, you reach more people, but reels are where it's at too. I actually plan on cranking out a bunch of reels. I think that's my plan of action, is to do reels to reach more local people, but we'll see if that works.
That's awesome. I love the real estate reels. I don't know if you guys ever see any of those.
Yeah, they're fun.
They're really fun.
There's this one girl, I absolutely adore her. I don't know where she's located, but every single one of her listings, she does funky, crazy, funny dances inside her listings to show them.
I've seen a couple of those. Yeah.
Grandma cat or something like that. It's so cute.
Oh,
and it's yeah, I'm they're awesome.
That sounds great. And I just told on myself that I forget about Instagram. So, putting that on my lead gen plan for, my winning my mornings, I just realized that I need to make a note for myself and put that on my list too. So it's really important to have a plan when we're sitting it down to do our lead gen, and when we're intentional about it, it can be really successful. So thank you for sharing. And then you keep track of your enrichments and your appointments, your agreements, and your closings. So do you all have a tracking sheet that you like to use? Do you have one, Michael?
For
For
the,
lead gen? Yeah.
not, well, short answer is I use the spreadsheet. I haven't set one up yet for here.
That's awesome that you use a spreadsheet. I'm kind of a pen and paper kind of girl.
Spreadsheets are easy.
Yeah. That's so great. How about you guys on Zoom? Do you have a tracking sheet that you like to use? Because if you don't have one that you like, I'd be glad to send you a few examples. Just reach out and let me know. I can send you some.
I wouldn't mind some examples. I'm about as unorganized as they come, so that's gonna be a lesson for me.
Perfect. So I'm sure my email is somewhere, but it's oh, I can write it down up here. I don't know, can you guys see the whiteboard on Zoom? You probably can't see the whiteboard, right? Okay, I'm not gonna put it there. So it's my email is MaryAnn, MaryAnn @laurajalot.com, and Lionel can put that in the message if you don't mind, Lionel. And so that's Laura, Laura. Jalot is G as in go, ILLOTT.com. And you can find me on Facebook too. But you have my email, right, Michael, since you're not on Facebook? Okay, good.
Well, it's not that I'm not on Facebook. but-
Oh, you are, you just don't utilize it. Okay, perfect. It's not your jam. No.
It's too much of a time investment.
So it can be a distraction. That's absolutely true. If you're not intentional about how you're on Facebook and for what reason and for how long, an hour can go by and you're just scrolling. So yes, if you're not interacting with people and sending messages and being intentional about tightening up connections and creating new ones, then yes, that can definitely be a negative to your time management.
If I could hire someone to handle my Facebook, I'd be more interested.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It comes down to my time investment versus conversion.
Right.
And the way I look at it.
Right. Yep. And if it's not something that you're going to be consistent at, then you're absolutely right. I know that cyberbackers sometimes are good at social media and run people's social media pages. So that could be something to look into in the future. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say I don't think that we're done with our presentation yet, but there's a feedback QR code. So Peter Drucker, he's an Austrian American management consultant, educator, and author. He says, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So that goes back to our tracking sheets and how you track. Michael tracks on spreadsheets. And Billy, how do you track your lead gen?
We do it nightly. We got an app on our phone, so we pretty much answer 10 questions based
Awesome.
on the date, the opening, showings, listing appointments, open houses, how many contacts, how many nurtures.
So do you just write it down on paper and then you record it?
On our phone, you just got to remind.
Oh, you do it?
Every night, we just upload it on our phone. It's automatic.
He's with a team.
Right. But I was wondering, how do you know what to report? Do you keep track of the day or you just keep
more or
it?
less in your head.
Really?
A ballpark.
A ballpark.
Some
Yeah.
days you have 20 contacts that you're reaching out to when you're really lead genning, and then some days it's 4 to 6.
Right.
It kind of goes in waves.
We have something similar. It's called CTE.
Okay.
And we report each night too.
Yep.
But I use a note in my phone. That's the easiest for me because I always have my phone. And so I just open up a note for each day and keep track that way. But that's so great, Michael, that you use spreadsheets. How about you guys on Zoom? How do you track your activities?
I'm a planner girl and I track it in my planner.
That's
Pen and paper.
awesome, Kate. What type of planner do you use?
Well, that just kind of depends on the quarter. I have not found the one that is my tried and true love. I switch it up a lot.
Yeah. So it's not a specific one that has lead gen contacts and all that in
Nope.
it.
Nope. I just write in it and hashtag. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, those hash marks are really all we need. We just count them up at the end of the day.
Exactly.
That's great. Does anybody have a suggestion for a specific planner for keeping track? I know I've seen them advertised before, but I haven't purchased one. So how do you track your lead gen, Stacy? Oh, is Stacy still here? I think she's gone. How about you, Jacob? How do you track? That's okay. Sometimes we have to step away when we're on Zoom. Is there anybody that wants to share? Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So conversing with your sphere, you've probably all seen this before. You can practice the Ford method. So Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And so this just helps us bring people to mind because we all have sphere and sometimes we need a little memory jogger. So this is really great. So with family, you can just write down all the names that you can think of that can either maybe have real estate needs in the near future, or a lot of times our family are our best referral partners that they can give you a referral. And then occupation. So people by certain occupations, if you think about our referral partners like lending and title and even contractors and people like that, or any specific occupation. I have a friend who's a med tech and she gives me several referrals a year, which is really great. So people that have occupations where they're talking with a lot of people could be great referral partners. And then recreation, you can think about if the certain sports that you do. Some people like to play pickleball or different organized activities like that, where you can reach more people. Like Barbie was talking about joining groups on Facebook. So you can join groups in person too that do fun things together and get more leads that way too. And there's dreams. So somebody want to explain that one? That one's a little in the shade for me. Do you know what that one means, Mackenzie? Is there a clue on the next page?
I do not know.
I think of dreams being like you're asking them. It could be anything, right?
What
Like,
are their dreams?
What are their dreams? What vacations do they want to go on?
Yes. Thank you for saving me. So talking to people about their dreams, that makes total sense because, home ownership and stepping up and maybe purchasing property or becoming an investor and things like that. Talking to people about their dreams, that can help bring you some more leads too. Thank you, Kate. Anybody have anything to add to this? Yeah. Your database is so important. You need to be, it says that the battery is running low. There. It came up with it. They're walking in the direction. Do you know if there's a plug-in close by? Okay.
Yeah, I don't hang out.
No. There is. Yeah, I'm not. I can help you. Oh, that's so weird. I need to go to. Is it?
Yeah. Your battery is?
Yeah, it just says that it's getting low. Well, we're gonna keep going. Our battery's getting low, but we're gonna keep going. So with the database and starting with your sphere, you have a lot of contacts in your phone most likely. And so that's a really great place to start is using the contacts in your phone and reaching out and making sure that everybody knows what you do and that you would love to help them. And it would be an honor to help their friends and family also. And then Command is a great place to transfer those contacts and to be able to nurture and reach out to them. Do you use Command, Billy?
Nope.
Do you have a different CRM?
Yeah, we use Sync.
We do too.
I've heard some teams use Think and Command. Just at this point, we're using Think and rely everything through that.
Great. Do you use Command, Michael?
I should. So, yeah, I have, but for right now, once again, I'm a spreadsheet.
That's awesome. How about you guys on Zoom? Does anybody use Command at a high level? Thank you, Corinne. She's getting us all plugged in.
I'm using Command.
Is that Kate?
Oops, yep.
That's great. So we also use Think Commissions Inc., and that's our CRM. But once we make an appointment with clients, we put them in Command. We create an opportunity in Command once we set an appointment. And I know a lot of people put all of their database in Command, and they use it at a really high level. Just the way we have our team, we're all able to see all the leads, and Command isn't just quite set up for that yet, but I really love using Command as my pipeline. And so it's really easy to use. Technology is not my number one skill, and I'm so grateful that Command is really easy. So I like to organize my pipeline that way. So knowing, who needs to be cultivated, and you're able to just pick up that little contact card and drop it into another month. And it just makes it really simple. And then once there's all the pipeline stages. So, it starts out with appointments, and then if the appointment's kept, maybe they're working on a pre-approval, they stay there, and then you can move it to active, and within active, they're showing. So you're showing them properties, and then once you get them under contract, there's a whole escrow part to go through. So Command has a lot of great features to help you with your pipeline. And it's really kind of cool to see like what your potential income is and how robust your pipeline is. I heard something yesterday that was really neat for those who work with a lot of buyers. I thought this was a really cool analogy. So sometimes we can feel like our pipeline's really full because I'll have 10 people in my pipeline, but of those 10 people, are they all pre-approved? Is there motivation there? Like, are they ready to go? If they saw a home they like today, would they write an offer? That's an A buyer. Would they write a good offer? Sometimes in this market, it's a little challenging with people wanting to write under asking. And so they were talking about a parking garage, and us as agents, we only have a certain number of parking spots where we can really service a certain number of A buyers. And so he was talking about how, our mindset could be that our pipeline is full. Well, in all actuality, we have one person, one buyer that's in a slot that, is ready to pull the trigger and write an offer on a home that we show them that day that they like. So I thought that was really interesting, like to separate our pipeline out with, people that we're still nurturing and cultivating, and maybe helping them work on their motivation, and then having, people lined up in those actual front row parking spots for your A buyers that are ready to go. And those are the people that you're showing all the time, because we can really take up a lot of time showing people homes who, aren't quite ready with their own mindset about their motivation and pulling a trigger. Were you gonna say something, Billy? Oh, I thought you were gonna say something. So I just love that analogy of like, we only have a certain number of parking spots for buyers when we're showing them property, and sometimes running, all over the place to show them property. So that's a really good, a good way to keep track in Command too, because like we have a spot that's we have active, and I was just trying to think of what we call it. We have ready to go buyers, and then we have ones that are active. They're able to purchase a home, but maybe that, their motivation isn't quite there to be ready to write a really good offer. You guys have any ahas so far? Yeah, it's all plugged in. Okay, that was so close. We almost lost everybody. Good job, Corinne.
We did. Hold on. Let me cast again.
Oh yeah. So grateful to have this help. Perfect. We are good to go. There you go. Thank you. You're so welcome. Oh, and Corinne is amazing with command. So if you happen to need some training or need some help with command, Corinne has just done an amazing job of plugging in, and she got herself trained so quickly working with our regional trainer, who's really great. So Corinne really is an expert and she can help you with all things command. So, I did just ask you guys for ahas, but it looks like we're going to ask again. So in talking about the 6 concepts today, has your thinking changed at all? What ideas or mindsets were new after going through the content today? Is there anything you can think of, Billy?
Not offhand.
Okay. How about you, Michael?
Well, the thing I like about today is, it's had been said at the beginning, to be successful in this business, you have to master all 6 core competencies, and then having them broken out, and then looking at them and going, okay, so these are the 6 things I need to focus on to propel my business forward, and just realizing that now it's, you just have to come up with the system so that you get that all done in as quick amount of time as possible. Because the quicker you can master, the quicker you can be successful.
That's so true. And so was that helpful to figure out too, like you're going to be so much more confident lead genning when you're confident that you can write a great contract.
Right.
And so that they all just kind of work together and help with our confidence and moving us forward.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing. How about you, Barbie?
As far as, I don't really have I haven't used command very much. I'm kind of just following, I joined a team, so I'm kind of just following their direction and their input. I have some expireds that I'm going to call on, which is going to be kind of like my focus, I think. Yeah. But as far as I don't know where I'm starting yet. You know what I mean? Like this is, I literally just got a license. I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, yeah, you just are getting started, and you probably, I know like a lot of network marketing companies are really great about personal development and mindset. So you probably really understand that your mindset is the most important thing. And I remember when I was a brand new agent, I was a little terrified of people asking me how long I'd been licensed. And before being real estate agent, I did daycare for 22 years and in my home. And so that's part of the reason why I have had I was behind the times with technology. I used my phone, but I didn't really use a computer. And so somebody gave me some really good advice that, well, how long have you been studying? And you were licensed when you were a kid too, but like, how long have you been studying and preparing and training? And so, maybe you just hung your license, but how long have you been preparing for this? And then also here at the Market Center, and with your team, we have so many experienced agents that are there to back us up. So just having the confidence that you have all that you need to represent those clients well, that's really going to help when you call those expireds.
So I've done a lot of phone jobs where you have to dial 300, 400 dials. So the dialing doesn't, I don't enjoy it, but it doesn't scare me, if that makes sense. I think a lot of people fear of it, and I don't have the fear of it. I feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of just like that. I learn as I do it. And so I feel like I just need to get a contract under belt. And once I do it, you learn as you go. Like, I feel like I'm not the book type of person. I'm like the learn as you go, like
hands-on. Well, that's good, because that's mostly what we do. That can be a bit frustrating for me because I want a manual. We don't have a manual.
I just like the fly by the seat of my pants, and if I mess up, I'm going to do my best to fix it and learn from it. What else are you going to do, right? There is no
Right.
perfection.
You're gonna have hope on the important stuff, make sure we don't harm anybody and
Well, of
get the
course.
best advice. You have those people to back you up. So that gives you that confidence.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
like I said, like one of my very best friends. So I'm really excited to be able to work with someone that is such a huge part of my life already. So
Yeah.
no one else that I'd rather go into business with. So that part really excites me.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you. That's gonna be great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Kate, is there anything that you feel a little differently about or anything that was meaningful to you today?
I think the thing that I'll walk away from is that having just kind of made the change and switching over, it can be a little like, well, what do I do for lead gen? And it's just a nice reminder of just go have conversations and message your people and just like, don't overcomplicate it.
Right. Right. And just thinking of, how many contacts a day that you want to make, and that can
Right.
be conversations in person wherever you are, or, whatever that means for you, like just trying to get those in. That's something that I try to keep in mind every day too, that, oh my gosh, I only did 10 today. My goal was 20. And so then, hurry up and getting in there and finishing those up and keeping that top of your mind throughout the day. Because a lot of times, when you're in production and you have transactions in escrow, that can really pull our attention. Like if we're servicing our files all day, that's when we have the businesses that go like this, and we're all guilty of
Right.
that. But, oh, I have, 8 under contract, and then all of a sudden they all close and we're like, so just really protecting that lead gen time is so important, and getting those contacts in. That's right. And just remembering that, you do have all of those sources, and going back to that board, that really does help sometimes jog your memory. Yeah. How about you, Melinda? Do you have any behaviors that will be different going forward, or are you thinking of any actions that you're going to take?
I just need to get, and I told Lionel this a while back, I need to get way more deliberate with my time blocking. I just tend to let almost anything drag me away.
Yes. Yes.
For example, I set a showing for today, and that's going to drag me away in a half hour or so. Anyway, and I wasn't really thinking when I did that. So better time blocking would have been key. But this guy, the guy I'm showing only had limited time in the morning because he works he starts work and then works at night. So he'll be starting work.
Yeah. And sometimes we just have to make those exceptions. That's so true, because we are.
Well, but I make too many of them. Yeah, that's just being more deliberate with my lead gen time is very precious, and I need to stop running around. But running around seems to be what I do.
Yes, and I find myself that way too in Frenzy, especially helping our new agents. I get pulled in a lot of directions, being involved in a lot of different transactions. And so that's, part of being that reactive, when we're in the reactive mode, it can really take our focus away. And so, like you said, planning and being intentional about what our day is going to look at. Every once in a while, we're going to have a fire or a showing or a signing that can't be any other time. But if we make that the exception, and instead of being reactive, I think that's a really good goal to put into place. Thank you, Melinda.
It is a goal, definitely. It's a long process going from full-time mom to 3 very busy boys to being a complete, strict and diligent business owner of my own.
Yeah, so you were used to just kind of doing what needed to be done next, doing what needed to be done next, right? So reactive, and now and goals are great, and then we have to break our goals down into action steps, right? So you're going to time block on your calendar.
Definitely. My phone is my brain and my calendar. So I'm trying to be more diligent about having time slots in my calendar that are not convertible.
Yes, that sounds awesome. Okay, and I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Mackenzie, is there anything that you feel like you've gotten from today that you're going to do a little different, or maybe made you think a little differently about your job and about our profession?
Kind of what Melinda was saying. I think I've let things pull me away from lead gen a little bit too easily. So I really need to work on being really diligent and doing lead gen 2 hours a day, every day. Just keep doing it.
That's so important. And wow, if you put that into practice now, or excuse me, when you put that into practice now, Mackenzie, that's really going to build you a successful business.
Yeah.
So that's great. Awesome. And I think we talked to everybody. Is there anybody I missed?
Hey, MaryAnn, it's Lionel.
Hi, Lionel.
Hi. Hey, well, I think the thing that really stood out for me is just the idea of the core competencies. It's kind of like what Mackenzie and Melinda just said, which is focusing on the most important things. So they named the six competencies and making those the focus, because it's so easy. And we heard it from several people, just saying we get caught up in other things. People can get up and work on a flyer for 2 days,
Yes.
It feels like, hey, at least I'm busy, I'm
Right.
doing something, but it's not the right activity. So yeah, just getting focused on doing the right activities and not getting distracted by all the busy work.
And that important word you just said, Lionel, distractions, like Facebook can be a distraction instead of like intentional lead gen. And a lot of times we allow distractions to take our focus away just because they're a lot more fun too. I don't particularly like working on flyers, but I have some teammates that it's like their favorite thing to do, and they'll spend, 6 or 8 hours doing it. And I'm grateful that they make such beautiful flyers, but then it's like, okay, so how did your lead gen go? It's interesting how, or even just family members, or sometimes we have clients that want to talk to us a lot more than maybe is necessary, and managing all of those distractions so that we can focus on our lead gen and win our mornings is such an important part of having a successful business. That's for sure. Thank you, Lionel. So it looks like, hi, Laura. We're moving on to the do not call list. This is really important. We don't want to get in hot water. So the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, this goes through the do not call list. And with auto dialers, we have to be so careful. And we always want to ask, for consent to call people, to stay in touch with them. That's always a good practice to do. But if somebody's on the do not call list, they can actually sue you if you call them. So, and I know that we do have this available at the Market Center if somebody wants a copy of this. Do you have anything to add to that, Lionel?
Nope, just follow it. If somebody does not want to be called, don't call them and follow these guidelines, because it is a $15,000 fine per incident. So it's not a small thing, and they are cracking down on it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I really love this slide. This is my favorite slide in the whole presentation, because it really is such a great mindset shift. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. And so when you see yourself that way, because you do like to help people, you are here to contribute, you are here to add value, that is who you are. And so when you see yourself that way and you have confidence that people need you, like you have what they need, it's a service that we provide that is so important to people, when they're making decisions about the most important financial assets that they have or that they're going to purchase. So I just really love this, that, this would be a great I am statement to say to yourself right before lead gen, I think. So I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. I really like this one. So I don't know if this is something that we do or we actually do the role model play. We only have a couple people here in person, and I know you guys are in Zoom, but on Zoom, but this is a really important thing. If you can have a role play partner to script practice with you and go over objections, it's so great. And sometimes I hear the objection from agents that, well, I don't want to script practice because I don't want to sound salesy. Well, I just have to tell you, like, sorry, that's a cop out. Like knowing our scripts and having objection handlers ready is part of being a professional real estate agent. And there's so many distractions that happen when we're in front of people. And sometimes even people's communication type can be distracting, if they're a little overbearing or, just hard, being a little difficult. Having that script in your mind, it's kind of like muscle memory, and it'll just flow off your tongue. And also when you have things memorized, you're able to make it your own and it sounds more natural. So the objection that I don't want to come off as salesy, I don't buy that at all, because, and that is how I felt when I became a new agent. I was like, well, I don't want to come across as salesy, but, learning what I've learned about script practicing, and you can actually write the script out yourself, rewrite it, make it your own, but being able to rattle off information that you truly believe is really the best thing that you can do for your clients to inspire that confidence. And then for you yourself, you will be so grateful. I just recently had to do this 16-week course called Listing Mastery, because our team model has just recently changed. So I've been a buyer specialist for almost 6 years. I've been lead buyer's agent on the team for 4. And just recently, I'm now able to take listings too. And I'm really excited about it. And at first I was like 16 weeks. And then when I got into it, it was so interesting. The homework was writing out the scripts for once a day for 5 days. And it's been a long time since I've done something like that. And at first I was like, oh man, but I have to tell you, like, they are part of me now. And sitting down and doing listing appointments with my listing partner that I partnered up with for my sphere, she did most of the appointment, but being able to jump in with people I know, to answer their questions, to also do objection handling was so cool, because I didn't even have to think about it. So it's just a quick reaction. And when you take a script that you believe in, so write it out the way that you want it and practice it. And honestly, writing a script for once a day for 5 days was incredible. So they really know what they're doing. And they talked about, once you do that and you internalize it and you believe it, it's really, really powerful. It's, I think, the best thing that they had us do. And so now when I sit down in front of a seller, I feel really confident that I can answer their questions. And confidence, it seems to me, is one of the most important things that a seller is looking for. Like, this is their everything, their whole world, their whole finances, and they're trusting us with it. And so if we don't appear to be confident, then they're not going to want to work with us. And if we don't know the answer to a question, but we've been confident and we'll just say, I'll find that out for you, they're okay with that. So, don't feel like you have to know everything when you're going into an appointment with a seller, or you're doing a consultation with a buyer, or taking them on a showing. Just flip that MLS detail over and write down their questions and say, I'll find out for you. I will look into that. We don't have to know everything. We're not expected to know everything, but having that confidence and practicing our craft and knowing what we need to say is so important. And I heard something recently. I hope I get this right. So the most important thing for our clients is not to get them to believe what we say, but it's to get them to believe that we believe what we're saying. So that's when people will want to work with you, when you have those strong convictions and when you're actually believing what you're saying because you know it inside and out. That's really, really powerful. So I was grateful for this 16-week course I had to take, even though I felt like, oh my goodness, like, why do we have to do that? So I would really recommend you writing down, what you want to say when you call people on the phone, what you want to say in your buyer consultations and in your listing presentation. The listing presentation I had to write out was 2.5 pages with my writing. And so that was a lot of writing, but I can rattle it off now. And it gives me so much more confidence in lead genning also, because when you're confident that you can convert somebody and get a signed agreement, then you're more apt to do more lead genning. So it's kind of like a snowball that's going even further, 6 years in, and I'm just learning that skill. And I think it's so important. And if you guys can learn it sooner, that would be incredible. Being a successful real estate agent, you kind of have to be a people magnet. They'll want to work with somebody because of how you make them feel, who you are, and having that confidence is something that's really attractive. And it's something that I really had to work on the first couple of years for sure. So.
Who would we go through to do more of that hands-on training to kind of take that to that next level?
Hands-on training. Oh, like what training did I do? Yeah. So it was through Glover U Coaching. Have you heard of that? And I know that KW has a lot of those programs too. So is that on KW Connect, Lionel, where you can go in and I know that there's a lot of courses available for agents.
KW Connect is great.
KW Connect.
KW.
Is there something specific for them to search?
For presentations?
Yes, or even like scripts and script practicing, just the keywords.
Yes, all of that is there. Put in open houses scripts, listing scripts, all that is in there. You can hear people do it live.
And those are really, really good. Yeah. Does anybody have any ahas or any questions about that part? A role play partner, it can be embarrassing unless some people just enjoy doing that, but it is so important to do. I know I always do better when I'm actually talking to somebody on the phone that is a lead than I do with my role play partner. So, that's good. Like, we know, like, we're going to goof up in front of each other. That's not a big deal. Your conversation list. This is really great. So before you start your lead gen, it's really important to be prepared. So if you say that you're going to lead gen from 8 to 10 a.m. or 8 to 11 or 9 to 11, before your start time, you should really be prepared and have your conversation list ready so you know who you're going to call. And that could be in your CRM or in your command, or it could be a written list, but just know who you're going to be calling, because you don't want to spend that precious lead gen time figuring out who to call. So you can make your conversation list ahead of time. And lead gen conversations. So there's another warning at the bottom of this slide that you must comply with the TCPA and any other federal, state, or local laws, including the B2B calls and texts. So never text or call a number on the do not call list, in auto dialing especially. So it sounds like we're supposed to talk more about the lead generating conversations. So KW Connect also has really, really great lead gen scripts in there. So I highly suggest that you print those out. And sometimes I tweak the words a little bit just so it sounds more like me or what I want to say. So practice that a little bit. And then once you have it, like, old school, a long time ago when I was in school, we used to have to write things over and over, and we've gotten away from that, and that's actually pretty powerful. So I'm really glad to start that skill back up again. Anything you want to add about the lead generation conversations, Lionel?
I think what you're saying is so important, of just practice, because it just gets embedded in us and we're not like thrown off, and we feel really comfortable with it. And when you feel more comfortable, you can really pay deeper attention to the questions that they're asking. So you don't want to follow along and just, whoop, I'm going to my next point. It's natural to dive down. They ask a question or they make a point and you're like, tell me more about that. Why is that more important to you? How does that affect your family? And you can really dive down. And the other thing I think is important is understanding that everybody has a more dominant personality type. And we want to match their personality type. So if you have somebody, if you guys are familiar with the DISC, DISC, and it's just personality profiles, like a D is, you know, your CEO, your, you know, general in the military, you know, they're just all about moving really fast. And then if you have like a C type personality on the other spectrum, they're very thoughtful. They take their time to answer because they don't want to be wrong. So we have to give them time to think and to listen. So as a high D might try to talk over them or finish their sentences for them. And if we do that, they'll shut down. So it's, if somebody's a high D and you're a high C personality, very detail oriented, we've got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So we need to match. So like the golden rule says, you know, do unto others as you would have done unto you. And the platinum rule says, do unto others as they would have done unto themselves. So otherwise, speak the language the way that they like to be spoken to. So if they're really high paced, then match that and be high paced, or you'll drive them crazy. And if somebody's more thoughtful and slower, and they tend to speak like this because they don't like to be wrong, recognizing that and slowing down the speech to match, and that's rapport. Some people think that rapport is, oh, I like cats. Oh, you like cats too? That's not rapport. That's both liking cats. But rapport is energetic. So you're matching their energy, and then they'll connect with you at a deeper level.
I couldn't agree more. I'm so glad you brought that up, Lionel. And I could talk about that for a long time, because I really, really love the DISC profile, and it really helps you to understand yourself first, and then also your clients. And I'll tell you, like, it can really improve all of your relationships. So when I did do some personal development training, I got to have like a whole hour on this. We did a little bit of a different system. We used colors. So it was red was D, and you know, they had like yellow for, you know, warm personality, and then green was the high C's, you know, that were very detail oriented. So it's so important how really diving into those different personalities with the DISC can help you, like I said, understand yourself, and then also the people around you. And one of the things that I learned at that training was that high S's can really irritate high D's. So honestly, that really helped me improve my relationship with my mother, because my mom's a high D and I'm a high S. And I didn't realize why the things I was doing was so annoying to her. And what she really wanted me to do is look out for myself more, not be so caring and sharing, but that's not going to change. So she just has to deal with that. But what I learned was not to discuss that stuff with her. So she didn't want to hear about that. You know what I mean? She wanted to hear about like what did I do to move myself forward that day, or, you know, how's life going, or, you know, things like that, and talk a little more quickly. Plus she's from Brooklyn, so she talks really fast. But I just thought that so interesting. The more that we learn about that DISC profile and being able to apply it with our clients is so important, that mirror and matching. One thing that can be a challenge is if you're sitting down with a couple and one's a D and one's an S, or one's a D and one's an I, or D and C, like it makes it a little more difficult. So you can switch back and forth and, you know, tailor your conversations and the way you answer questions and make sure that they're both okay. I recently sat down for my first listing, and it was son and mother who owned the home together, and son's a D and mom's an S. And the first thing he said when we sat down was, let's not talk too much. And I thought he was talking to me. And I said, okay, we can get through this quickly. And he said, oh, no, it's not you I'm worried about. It's my mom. But I was so glad to hear, even though that was a little disrespectful, that he wanted it to be quick. And so what I did was I spoke really quickly to him about the steps, and then I explained a little bit more to her. I also told her that we could meet afterwards too. But that's so good, Lionel, because we'll lose people very easily and break rapport and lose connection if we're not matching their personality. So high drivers, Ds want us to get to the point and quickly, and for us to know our stuff. And then high Is are kind of all about the fun, like this is fun, and they like to talk about more what you have in common and things like that. They'll want to hear about your client appreciation and different things like that. And then high S's, you know, those people are like really giving and caring, maybe need to slow down a little bit. And then high C's especially like us to talk more slowly and more detail, and, you know, give them the numbers, give them the papers, they'll read everything. So tailoring our conversations and our presentations to people with those personality, the difference in personality is so important. And that's another reason to do a lot of our homework ahead of time before we have a buyer consult or a listing presentation, because when we talk to them on the phone, a lot of times we can get a lot of clues about what their personality is like, and we can be more prepared too. Definitely. And then you said something else I was going to talk about too. The other thing that you said besides the disc vinyl. Interesting.
I'm not sure.
Should have taken a note.
Hey, MaryAnn,
Yes.
it's Melinda.
Hi, Melinda.
I actually have had a couple of times where I think the market actually sort of influenced how I went into a, you know, conversation with a buyer or something, and the market being, you know, how it was a year and a half ago or a couple of years ago when, you know, you want to buy a house. Oh gosh, we better hurry up then. I mean, that's kind of how it was. And so it influenced how I went into things. And a couple times I think I did sort of, you know, offend or have someone shy away from me because they thought I was just being too domineering. And I was being like,
you were trying to
gotta
help
get,
them.
you know, you
Yeah.
get approval so you can make an offer. And, you know, and so I think I've had to kind of take a chill pill and take a deep breath and go into each conversation a little differently to kind of see where where the buyer is at first, and then we can go from there.
Right. That's so important. And that's a really good reminder too, because, you know, even just a year ago, we were having to move really quickly. And a lot of times buyers weren't ready. You know, they just weren't. And it was so hard. And, you know, one of the lessons is sometimes people have to lose out and they have to feel some of that pain before they'll listen to us. So, you know, even now working with a few buyers that think they can get a really good deal, that's not happening in this market. Prices are still going up a little bit at a time in a more healthy rate. But, you know, helping them to self-discover that, oh, you know, maybe we should have followed your advice and done what we did that first one. And a lot of times they'll be like, oh, if we'd only gotten that first one, you know, but a lot of times people aren't ready, like you said, to hear, you know, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do. So giving them the time to process and sometimes, unfortunately, learn for themselves, you know, that they missed out. And that is also part of preparing people and setting expectations. So, you know, like you said, helping them to understand kind of what you need to do to win an offer and to do well in this market is really, really good. But even sometimes with the best preparation and the best, you know, you do a good job of setting expectations, sometimes buyers and sellers just have to learn for themselves too. So, but that's a good point. Like just understanding that sometimes people aren't ready for all of our advice and, you know, to go in there and get it. And other times they are. So just trying to discover that as you're talking to people is really important. I remember what I was going to say, Lionel. So when you spoke about active listening, so when we know our scripts and we know our presentation and we know our objection handlers and we know what comes next and it's like muscle memory and it just flows, then we have so much more opportunity to be a good active listener. When people are talking to us, we're not like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say next? And so that has been really helpful too. The more that I know my scripts inside and out, the better I feel I am as a listener to, you know, make that eye contact, listen to what they're saying, and then going like 3 questions deep on what they said. And then after that, even 3 more. And that really, really helps to develop that rapport and also to help them find their own motivation and, you know, to really trust you too, because we know when people are really listening and, you know, when they're listening to they're thinking about what they're going to say next. So having those tools and being prepared with those scripts is so important for being an active listener. So thank you for that reminder too. Are you gonna say something, Michael?
No.
I always like to hear what you're gonna say. And then the follow-up. So this is one of my favorite topics too. You guys have probably heard it a million times, but the fortune truly is in the follow-up. And I'll tell you, all the regrets I have is because I didn't follow up enough. And so, you know, the leads that I've lost, the opportunities that I've lost have to do with not following up as much as I should have. So, you know, moving forward, I did create a follow-up plan that I stick to every morning, and that has really helped me so much. So I'm not like going to bed at night going, you know, I should do this or I need to do that tomorrow, or kind of being in a frenzy. It's just really made for a much more peaceful life, and all of us real estate professionals could use more peace in our lives, right? So having a set plan for our follow-ups is really, really important. I also call it keeping my promises. And so there's many different ways and tools that you can use for your follow-up. Some CRMs have a drip campaign that automatically does it for you. And then also just having a plan that could be part of your lead gen, and then also some follow-up time. Let's talk about update. Let's see. Anybody have any questions or anything they want to add to that?
Hey, MaryAnn, MaryAnn, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really highly recommend everybody, you know, unless you're on a team and your team is using a different program, like Billy, yourself, everybody has command, and that is all set up to automatically, when you put something into command and you talk to them today, and you can just put it in, I'm going to follow up with them in a week, and it's going to remind you. So when you pull up your database, it's going to say, these are your activities for the day. This is who to call. And, you know, when I started my business, I was so broke, I couldn't afford anything. And I just used the Keller Williams tools. So I highly recommend that. Like, these are massive tools, and Corinne, like you said earlier, is an expert on it. So make sure to get into her classes, or if you're having an issue getting these things set up, she can help you, and she knows it inside and out, and she can teach you really quickly. But our minds are too full. We can't keep all of these in our mind. There's no way. And then the other thing on the follow-up that you're talking about, I remember a story years ago. I thought it was so interesting. This guy had these people come through his open house, and I'm like, oh, did you follow up with them? And he said, no, I'm going to give it like 5 days. I don't want to seem like I'm desperate. Yeah, that look. Exactly. And I'm like, are you kidding? So just knowing, like, open houses, like, those things should be followed up with immediately, like literally the same day. But if somebody's asking questions at an open house, they're probably going to go to an open house, and somebody else is going to secure them if you don't follow up immediately, bring some value, and you know, shoot for the appointment. So yeah, follow up is not, I know, I don't know on your team if you guys do that, but now it's like, if somebody requests some information, it's like 5 minutes. Now I know somebody might be in an appointment, but it's like, we got to follow up right away, or else they're going to move on to somebody else. And by the time we get there, they're like, oh, I'm already working with so-and-so.
Our society is so much on demand. We get things so instantly now that if they don't get it from us, they'll get it somewhere else, like you said. Definitely. I'm going to say oh, and statistically, they say that we have to follow up 10 to 15 times. So people, we all quit too soon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's not even enough, 10 to 15 times. So, and I'll just give an example. I have this friend who has these products for sale, and they look so neat, and I've been wanting to order them, but you know what our schedules are like, right? So I'll say, I'm going to get on her website and order. Well, I didn't do it. She reminded me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that today. Didn't do it. And then a couple more times she reminded me. And then finally she called and said, do you want me to just do that for you? And so her follow-up was excellent. And I was not mad. I wanted to buy her products. People want to buy or sell their home. You know what I mean? So I had a need, and her checking in with me and the way that she did it did not bother me. It was actually really good customer service. And I was really grateful that she did that, because I did want what she had. I just was busy. And so sometimes people are just busy, and following up like that will either show that, you know, you're a great professional and you give good service, and they'll work with you. Or if they get annoyed, oh, well, next, go on to the next person, you know? So being concerned about bothering people is something that we shouldn't even worry about, because people need the service that we have. And, you know, a lot of times these leads have already raised their hand and said they have real estate needs. So following up until we actually make contact with them is part of our job, part of what we do with lead gen. So celebrate successes. So I think that's where, like, does anybody have like a follow-up success story that they can share? I have one. So when I was a newer agent, it was the beginning of 2018, I had this family, they had 2 little kids, and they wanted to buy a house, and I showed them some houses, and they were pre-approved and ready to go. And at the time they had like $15,000. Well, one of them had a family emergency in Mexico. One of their family members in Mexico needed that money, and they actually sent it to them. And so they decided to, you know, save up, even though I, you know, explained that there's other ways that we could do it with less money, but they were sure that they were going to, they wanted to save that money, and they wanted a couple more years. So I just kept in touch with them, mostly through Facebook, but I also texted every once in a while. I remembered their birthdays, and 4 years later, they called me and said, okay, we're ready. And so it's just so interesting to, you know, just follow every lead until it's done. Not to give up on that cultivating and follow up. And there's a lot that we can accomplish in 3 hours. And even if you set aside 2 hours a day, there's so much that we can accomplish. And if you're trying to start a new habit, I would really suggest doing something that you can accomplish every day. If you want to start with 30 minutes a day and like making that, you know, that you're not going to break that rule at all, and then add another half hour and add another half hour, that's a really great way to do that. That's what I did as a brand new agent. I didn't have anything else to do. So I was really good with my lead gen. And then once I started getting busy with transactions, I made a commitment to do it for 1 hour. And then I added another one. And then I got really busy doing other roles and doing lots of other things and fell off the wagon. And I recently started that again. So I am committed to that at least 2 hours a day. And follow-up is a really important part of that. Talks about command and connect to get help. Whoops. We've talked about that a lot. Command is really robust. And for those of you who have been with us for a while, command had some issues for a while, and Gary Keller and his team have really taken responsibility for that and apologized. And now they've got it, you know, really dialed in, and it's really, really great. So I would suggest going to Corinne's classes, and you can even let her know if you need a little one-on-one time. You can come in and talk with her too. She's so great. So your next session that you're going to have is connect with your market. I think is this it for my slides. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about mindset too. I know that you probably spoke quite a bit with Lionel about mindset on Monday, because it's just so important. It really is the number one thing. What happens between here determines our whole life, and how much we enjoy our life, and how much we accomplish in life, and how much we're able to contribute. And so I had the privilege of coaching with Lionel. And, you know, I hired him as my personal coach, and it was absolutely, truly life-changing in every way. And, oh my gosh, I'm going to get teary. But the other byproduct of that that's so incredible is how much it has improved the lives of my family and the people closest to me. And I just want you to consider how much influence you actually have, just you yourself. I didn't realize how much influence I had over what my family does, how my family talks to each other, the decisions that they make. And I'm talking about, my whole family, my siblings, my nieces, my mom, and my closest friends. And so as my mindset started changing and I started implementing these really amazing new ways of living, the people around me changed. And a lot of us grow up with dysfunction and all kinds of things. There's a lot of passive aggressive conversations happening, and I've always been the peacemaker. And that's not always the best thing to do, is just try to calm things down and kind of sweep it under the rug. And I'm just so grateful for this program that Lionel has and what it's been able to do. Completely strengthen my marriage, like more than I ever thought was possible. So my husband and I have been married for almost 18 years, and it's our second marriage for both of us. And we each have children, before we were married. And blending families is not for the faint of heart. It's really hard. And, lots of people have challenges in their relationships and their marriages and their in their parenting and all types of relationships. And when we get our mind right and we are, not focusing on, the negative things, or maybe our regrets or our past failures, or, feeling overwhelmed like something will never change. It's so incredible how everything in your life can improve. What a cutie pie. We have a little visitor. And so anyway, I just really want to encourage all of you, however you do that, through books or videos, or joining Lionel's coaching program, or the one-on-one coaching that he does, that is so valuable, that it has exponentially improved my life and everybody I love. Like even people who live 1,000 miles away who are in my family, it's improved their life too. So I want to thank you for that, Lionel, and that we're always improving every day. And one of the things that really struck me recently at a training that I went to, they were talking about, we are what we think about, right? And sometimes I can get like a little bogged down in regrets. Like, oh, I wish I had said that differently, or I wish I had done that, or gosh darn it, how come we haven't all been buying houses before, like in 2015 or whatever, or even just a few years ago when interest rates were low. Like, we have all these regrets, and our minds can't differentiate between what happened in the past, what's happening right now, and what's going to happen in the future. Our subconscious and our minds can't tell the difference. So what we dwell on, what we think about, is really, really important to like every cell in your body. So when I'm stuck thinking about maybe painful things or negative things, our minds think it's happening right now, and it adjusts accordingly. So it's so interesting when we manifest what we want to see happen in the future, and we make those positive statements. To some people, like my husband is very skeptical. He was like floored and horrified when I told him that I wanted to hire a coach. And he's so grateful now, and definitely a believer, but it's been hard to help him manifest and things like that. But once you're really able to do that and not dwell and focus on negative things or painful things, and propel yourself into the future in your mind and how you want to see yourself, how you intend to see your business, the success that you're going to have. One of the things that Lionel taught me was that I am so happy and grateful now that. I am so happy and grateful now that. So even when something happens, like a fire on a deal, I think I am so happy and grateful now that that's closed and they're happy in their home. It's really interesting how you can have that feeling or that thought come in, and we acknowledge it, and then we let it pass, and then we move forward. And it's a really, really powerful thing. Everybody knows that we only use our minds just a tiny percentage of what we're capable of. So I just really highly recommend that you look into that more, and talk to Lionel. He's got some really great resources that he can share with you too. And I'm so grateful that we have you here at the Market Center, Lionel, and you give so much of your time, and I just really want to thank you for that. Does anybody have any other ahas they want to share that they took away from the class today? No. How about you, Kate?
I think I'm like I was saying, like I hit the pavement and I really just want to, not that I'm like a personal guru person, but like I do a lot of the mindset and the personal development and the miracle mornings. I have all that. It's already in practice with me. And so I just am like, I want to hit the pavement. Like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get things going. I've got a list of 100 numbers. I'm about to start calling.
You're just ready. Let's do it.
I'm ready. Let's do this. And I think that
That
like,
sounds great. I'm so excited to hear that.
it's like that, like the girls were saying on here, like, don't overthink it. I think that messy action is better than no action at all.
100% taking action. That's probably what Lionel was going to say next. Yes. So taking action is the most important thing we can do. And honestly, you know how we can really get afraid about certain things, or like you're saying, overthinking. The other side of fear is action. So when we are afraid, once we take action, that fear disappears. So that's great, Kate. Thank you for that reminder. How about you, Barbie?
That was me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Barbie.
Okay. No worries.
It's really hard to tell when when you guys don't have your camera on. Sorry about that. Thank you for sharing, Barbie. That makes sense. You're ready to hit the ground running since you just hung your license. So that's awesome.
Kate had sent a message in the chat and said that she she had to let the dog out, so she might be available now.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Lionel. How about you, Melinda? Do you have any more ahas or something that you're ready to take action with other than what you've already shared? Melinda might have had to go too.
She went to let the
Anything
dog
you
out
want to add,
also.
Lionel?
No, I love what you're talking about, mindset. The did a really good job sharing that. And I think the one thing that you can wrap that around is the concept or the truth that we become what we think about, and we have to be really careful in our thoughts. And Barbie was just talking about miracle morning. So important that our day starts out that way, because if we start off in a negative sense and we don't have a plan for our morning, then our day controls us. So just being aware of our thoughts. So if we notice thoughts coming in that are like, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough, this isn't gonna go well, I'm not prepared enough, then that's probably the way it's gonna go. But if we set our intent and see it in our mind, because everything is created first in our mind and then in reality, is so if we create it first in our mind the way that we expect it to happen. So if you go on an appointment, if you're lead gen, you're like, I expect great conversations. I see people saying, thank you. Oh man, that's a great question. I appreciate that. So just really paying attention, because a lot of those old, I call it baggage, all that old baggage that we have from our past creeps up and causes fear and those things. So paying attention and reframing those rather than allowing it to be feeling like I'm not good enough, I'm not experienced enough. It's like, just reframe it. I've got plenty of help, I got plenty of support. So
one of the things I told myself when I was a new agent too was, I have so much time. I can show them any house they want. Like, all these other agents are super busy. Like, I'm the best agent for them because I have the time to really, represent them well. So, that is definitely a benefit if you're a newer agent or starting in a new area, that, you have the time to really focus on these people. So see yourself as the best option for them and it will go well.
So one other thing I just want to point out, if you're, because I think you're about to wrap up, is just want to encourage everybody, like a lot of the stuff that MaryAnn's talking about is coming forward. So in the classes here in Ignite. So all of the classes on, like, we're going to spend a whole I think 5 or 6 sessions on lead gen and on
Awesome.
follow-up, and then the whole contract and the presentation of a listing presentation, buyer press. So it's, this whole thing is building. So I just encourage everybody, keep showing up every time, and because it's continuing to build. So,
And it's so great to hear from all of these other agents too, the nuts and bolts of, you know, our job.
yeah.
Thank you, Lionel. Thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you, MaryAnn.